Matrix. Imagine your entire life is fake. Every sunrise, every conversation, every meal, none of it is real. That's the world of the Matrix. Humanity lost a war against machines. Now almost every human on Earth is grown in a pod, kept unconscious, and used as a living battery to power the machines. To keep people calm, the machines built a simulation. It's called the Matrix. Inside it, people believe they're living normal lives in the late 1990s. They go to work, they pay bills, they fall in love. None of them know their real body is floating in a tank, wired into a machine. Only a small group of humans escape the simulation. They live in the last human city, hidden deep underground, called Zion. From there, they hack back into the Matrix to find others and wake them up, one person at a time. The scariest part of this world isn't the machines, it's the fact that most people don't want to be freed. Waking up means facing a harsh, broken reality. Staying asleep means comfort, even if it's fake. That's the core of the Matrix's dystopia, a society controlled not through pain, but through comfort. As long as people don't ask questions, the system runs forever. Next up, a world where the sky is gray, corporations rule the streets, and even memories can be bought and sold. Blade Runner. The year is 2019 according to the film. A version of Los Angeles buried in rain, smog, and neon light. The sun almost never breaks through. Corporations own the sky, the streets, and most of what's left of human life. In this world, humans built artificial people called replicants. They look human. They act human. They're used for labor, war, and dangerous jobs humans don't want to do. Some replicants are stronger and smarter than humans, but they're given short lifespans, so they never live long enough to rebel. The main character's job is to hunt down replicants who escaped and are hiding among humans. But as the story unfolds, the line between real human and artificial human starts to blur. Some replicants show more emotion, more love, more fear of death than the humans around them. This is the heart of the Blade Runner dystopia, a world where being human isn't about biology anymore. It's about who has rights and who doesn't. Corporations decide who counts as a person and who is just a product to be used and discarded. It's a future where the sky is never blue, memories can be manufactured, and the difference between man and machine is decided by paperwork, not humanity. Next, a world where the rules disappear completely and survival depends on how much fuel you can steal. Mad Max. No government, no law, no fuel unless you're willing to kill for it. This is the world after collapse. Wars over oil and water destroyed civilization. What's left is a desert wasteland ruled by warlords, gangs, and anyone strong enough to take what they want. Cars are weapons, cars are currency, cars are survival. Entire communities are built around vehicles, modified, armored, and armed to fight for the last drops of gasoline and clean water. At the top of this world are tyrant leaders who control the only reliable water source. They ration it out to keep the population weak, loyal, and desperate. Everyone below them fights for scraps, while a small elite lives in relative comfort. There's no rescue coming, no outside world to appeal to. The dystopia here isn't a government watching your every move. It's the complete absence of any system at all. When civilization disappears, the strongest and most violent take control by default. Mad Max shows a future where humanity didn't get replaced by machines or ruled by an all-seeing government. It just ran out of resources and turned on itself. Next, a world where wearing a mask becomes an act of war against the government itself. V for Vendetta. In this future Britain, one political party controls everything. The news, the police, the streets after curfew, and what people are allowed to say out loud. The government took power after a series of engineered crises convinced the public they needed strict control to feel safe. Fear became the tool that built the entire system. Citizens are watched constantly. Anyone who speaks against the government or simply doesn't fit in disappears. Into this world steps a masked figure. He wears a stylized, smiling mask and carries out symbolic acts of destruction, targeting the machinery of government control rather than random violence. He isn't trying to save one person. He's trying to wake up an entire population that has learned to stay silent. The dystopia here isn't built on machines or wastelands. It's built on fear, propaganda, and a population that traded freedom for the feeling of safety. The mask he wears eventually becomes a symbol used by ordinary citizens, spreading from one person to thousands. V for Vendetta asks a simple question: how much control will people accept if they're told it's for their own protection? Next, a train that never stops, carrying the last of humanity in a very literal class system. Snowpiercer. After a failed attempt to reverse climate change, the entire planet freezes over. Every living thing outside is dead. The only survivors of humanity live on a single train that never stops moving, circling the globe on a self-sustaining track. The train is also a strict class system, built car by car. In the back, poor passengers live in filth, fed a mysterious protein bar and controlled by armed guards. In the front, the wealthy enjoy pools, spas, classrooms, and fresh food, all while the train keeps moving forever. The people in the back have no path to improve their situation. The system was designed that way on purpose by the man who built the train. He believes total control, including regular uprisings that get crushed, is necessary to keep balance and stop the train's ecosystem from collapsing. This is a dystopia of forced order. Every person has an assigned place, and stepping outside your car, literally or socially, is treated as a threat to the entire system. Snowpiercer imagines a future where humanity's last remnant recreates the same inequality it had before the world ended, just inside a smaller, colder box. Next, a televised fight to the death, held every year to remind the poor who's really in charge. The Hunger Games. Every year, one boy and one girl from each of 12 districts are chosen by lottery. They're sent into an arena. Only one comes out alive. The entire country is forced to watch. This is the punishment a wealthy capital imposes on its districts after a failed rebellion decades earlier. The games aren't just entertainment. They're a yearly reminder that resistance leads to your children being sent to die on live television. The capital itself lives in extreme luxury, elaborate fashion, endless food, extravagant parties. Meanwhile, most districts struggle with hunger, forced labor, and poverty, each one assigned a specific industry to serve the capital's needs. What makes this dystopia distinct is the role of entertainment. The games are produced like a reality show, complete with sponsors, interviews, and audience votes that can help or hurt a contestant's chances. Suffering becomes content. Death becomes a spectacle people are required to watch. The Hunger Games shows a future where inequality isn't hidden, it's broadcast. The ruling class doesn't need to hide its cruelty, because the system itself has convinced people that watching children fight is simply how things are. Next, a world where police arrest you for a crime you haven't committed yet. Minority Report. In this future, murder has been eliminated because the police arrest people before the crime ever happens. The system relies on 3 individuals with the ability to see crimes before they occur. Their visions are captured, analyzed, and used as evidence. Once a future murder is predicted, police move in and arrest the person, often seconds before they would have acted. The system is treated as flawless. No one has been wrongly convicted, according to official records. The program has effectively erased murder from the city. But the story raises an uncomfortable question. Is someone guilty of a crime they were only going to commit? And what happens when the system itself can be manipulated to remove inconvenient people? The dystopia here isn't about physical suffering or scarcity. It's about a society that traded free will for the promise of perfect safety. People are judged not for their actions, but for a possibility calculated by a machine. Minority Report imagines a future where prevention becomes control, and justice is no longer about what happened, only about what might. Next, a company that sells fake memories, and a man who can't tell his real life from the one he bought. Total Recall. Imagine paying a company to implant fake memories of the vacation you always wanted without ever leaving your chair. That's the business model at the center of this future. The main character visits a company that specializes in implanting artificial memories, choosing an exciting spy adventure on Mars just for the experience. But the moment the procedure begins, something goes wrong, and he can no longer tell if his memories are real, implanted, or something else entirely. The world around him is split between an overcrowded, polluted Earth and a colonized Mars, run by a corporation that controls the colony's air supply as a means of political leverage. Workers on Mars live under constant threat, dependent on the very company oppressing them just to breathe. The unsettling core of this dystopia is identity itself. If your memories can be manufactured, how do you know who you really are? The story never fully confirms whether the hero's adventure is real or an implanted fantasy, and that uncertainty is the point. Total Recall imagines a future where corporations don't just control resources, they control the story of your own life. Next, an idyllic community where everyone dreams of the same lottery without knowing what it actually means. The island. Everyone in this facility believes the outside world was contaminated in a disaster. They live in a clean, controlled community, waiting for their turn to win a lottery to the island, the last uncontaminated place on Earth. In reality, there was no disaster. The residents are clones, grown to serve as spare organs and body parts for wealthy clients on the outside. The lottery isn't a prize. It's a scheduled harvesting, disguised as good news, so the clones cooperate willingly right up until the moment they're taken. The facility is designed to keep clones docile. Constant surveillance, restricted information, and just enough comfort to prevent questions. They're told what to eat, what to wear, even who they can form relationships with, all in the name of health and safety. What makes this dystopia unsettling is the disguise of kindness. There's no visible cruelty, no violence in daily life. The horror is hidden behind clean architecture, cheerful staff, and a false story that gives the victims hope instead of fear. The island imagines a future where the darkest exploitation doesn't need force, just a good enough lie. Next, a society where feeling any emotion at all is treated as a crime. Equilibrium. In this future, humanity concluded that emotion itself was the cause of every war. So the government's solution was simple: eliminate feeling completely. Citizens are required to take a daily drug that suppresses all emotion. Art, music, literature, and anything designed to trigger feeling are illegal and destroyed on sight.